What's up, everyone? Welcome to a new February 7th edition of DraftKings Tournament Plays presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can find me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get one free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at Prize Picks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. We're going to take a look at 5 of the top tournament options on DraftKings for today's 5-game slate. As usual, keep in mind that there is pending injury news. Some things are going to change between now and lock, so be sure to tune in to the deeper dive and live before lock from 5 Eastern up until tip on the Awesemo YouTube channel. But for now, taking an early look at 5 of the top tournament options on DraftKings. Coming in at number 5, Klay Thompson, $6,300, shooting guard eligible. He's projected for 11% ownership with a 16% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He has a favorable matchup tonight against the Oklahoma City Thunder. Golden State has a healthy 112 implied total. Thompson's likely to give you 25, 26 minutes tonight, assuming that the game isn't completely out of hand early on. And he's shooting the ball a lot since coming back. You've seen elevated usage from him, even compared to his pre-injury rates, probably partly because of the fact that he is playing somewhat limited minutes. So far this season, Thompson has a 27.9% usage rate. He's averaged 1.25 DraftKings points per minute, and he gives you some upside at that price tag because we know Thompson is certainly capable of going out there and knocking down 5, 6, 7 3-pointers even in 25 to 26 minutes. Number 4, Lamellar Ball, $9,400. He has point guard and shooting guard eligibility, projected for 10% ownership, 16% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He has a relatively difficult matchup against the Toronto Raptors tonight, but the Hornets still have a 112 implied total, and they've been running a very tight rotation in competitive games recently. They've typically only been playing 8 guys. We also just got news that Cody Martin is doubtful tonight in addition to James Bouknight. So not that I think that has much of an impact on Ball, but it does increase the chances that we continue to see a tight rotation from the Hornets and that we get 36, 37 minutes from Ball, who averages around 1.4 DraftKings points per minute this season. Number 3, JaVale McGee, $3,500, projected for about 7% ownership, 15% chance of being in the optimal lineup. There's nothing safe about going to McGee, but there's not quite as much opportunity cost at the center position tonight as there is on most slates either. A lot of the teams playing tonight either don't have a center that we really care about a lot from a fantasy standpoint, or they're power forward eligible as well. So there are still good centers and there is still obviously an opportunity cost, but it's just not quite as high as it normally is. And that makes it a little bit more appealing to take risks on someone like McGee, who's a very good point per minute guy. He's unlikely to play a lot of minutes. I think you're expecting 14 to 16 minutes tonight on average. But if anything happens to DeAndre Ayton, whether it be foul trouble, a brief injury, a injury that takes him out of the game, pretty much anything, McGee is certainly capable of breaking a slate at $3,500. He doesn't need that much more playing time to get there, and he's getting very little ownership. Number 2, Miles Bridges, $7,700 with power forward and small forward eligibility, projected for 13% ownership with a 22% chance of being in the optimal lineup. I just mentioned it when we talked about LaMelo Ball, but Charlotte, for one, has been playing condensed rotations recently, and 2, they're now not expected to have Cody Martin tonight, so you could see even a little bit more playing time from their main pieces. Bridges has typically been the guy that plays the most for the Hornets anyway this season. He's averaged 1.06 DraftKings points per minute. He leads the team in minutes played. He has a 22.3% usage rate, 14% assist percentage, and about a 10.5% rebounding percentage. He's fairly likely to give you 38 to 40 minutes tonight at an affordable price tag. And number 1, Hassan Whiteside, $6,300, currently only projected for 5% ownership with an 18% chance of being in the optimal lineup. There are some question marks with Utah right now. Jordan Clarkson and Rudy Gay are both questionable. I don't think that has much of an impact on Whiteside. The question mark that I think does have an impact on Whiteside is he returned last game, but he came off the bench behind Azubuike. He only played 24 minutes. If he comes off the bench today, I'm not particularly interested because you're still paying a 6K price tag. But what I think we can take advantage of in tournaments is we're probably not going to get an announcement on Utah's starting lineup prior to this slate locking. And if people are concerned that Whiteside's going to come off the bench again, it's going to keep his ownership depressed. Whereas if we were to get news right now that he's starting, he would very clearly be one of the best options on the slate. So by assuming that he starts and assuming that the reason he came off the bench last game was that he had missed a couple of games previously and that, maybe they were just easing him back. If he starts, you would be expecting 30 to 32 minutes, which would make him look great. If he comes off the bench, 24 minutes or so, much more difficult for him to, put up a good game. So there is some risk there. But at the end, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world. Like, he could still give you a good game in 24 minutes. So I think there's just more reward to playing Whiteside, assuming that he's going to start, and then having to live with it if he doesn't, than in assuming he comes off the bench, missing out on getting to a lot of Whiteside, and then finding out he's going to start. That's something that absolutely could just win the slate for you at relatively low ownership. So to recap, the top 5 tournament options on DraftKings: Klay Thompson, Lamellar Ball, JaVale McGee, Miles Bridges, and Hassan Whiteside.